Hi, Karen. Well, first of all, Sharon here from the Trainers Training Company. I'm here with my very good friend and colleague, Karen Curitan. So, hi, Karen. Good to see you this
Afternoon.
afternoon.
Hi, Sharon. Good to see you.
Good. All right. So, we're here this afternoon to have a little chat about social media because Karen, if you don't know Karen, and she'll, tell you a little bit more about herself probably at the end and how you can find her and stuff. But Karen is a social media expert or social media trainer. Well, how would you describe yourself, Karen?
I'm Karen. I'm a social media addict, maybe.
Right. Okay.
I
That's as
don't
good
know.
as
No, I've actually just recently changed my LinkedIn profile and now have in bold the LinkedIn lady.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm on social media. I teach people how to use it, try and make it easy and get rid of the jargon.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn is my favorite place. It's like having kids. You're not supposed to have a favorite, but LinkedIn is.
Yeah. All right. So I thought we'd have a little chat this afternoon because social media has kind of been on my mind recently. And the reason why it's been on my mind is that I'm coming across people all the time who are just kind of equating social media with marketing. So a typical conversation would be, you're talking about business development and so on. And somebody will probably come out and say, oh, well, I don't really do marketing because, I don't really like putting myself out there. And, oh, I don't really like going on LinkedIn. I don't do all this social media because in their mind, marketing is all about social media. And because they feel they can't do it or don't want to do it, they think that that means they can't market their business. So I'm finding that quite interesting. Um, and what I'm also finding quite interesting in myself and my own kind of business journey,
Mm.
like, is that I was a really early adopter of social media. So when I first started this business in 2009, I mean, it was all just starting and all coming
Mm.
online, and I was all over Twitter and all this kind of stuff. And I got in those days, I built up loads of connections. I built a good mailing list. I built,
Mm.
visibility. People got to know me and so on through social media. So I was all over it. But in the last few years, I've just really come to understand that, social media has really changed. It's not the same
Mm.
as it used to be, particularly Twitter. I came off that about 4 years ago because it was like, I just couldn't stand it because it was a really kind of like, it was a really used to be like a really friendly place, and now it's kind of like really like not so friendly and toxic, and I couldn't be doing that, so I came off it. And I've just started to kind of notice that more and more. And I'm thinking, of all the kind of downsides of social media. So,
Mm.
you know, I'm seeing a lot of people, certainly in our community, in LinkedIn in general, they're spending an awful lot of time on LinkedIn, posting and posting. If they're not doing it themselves, they're paying other people to do it
Mm.
for them. And so that's a lot of time. And if you're paying other people to do it for you, it's a lot of money as well.
Mm.
So there's that. I think we're all aware of the potentially of the kind of mental health aspects of
Sure.
social media, the negative aspects. So, the
Mm.
comparisonitis, the endless scrolling, the kind of not feeling quite as uplifted as we used to do when we went on
And
social
nobody's a
media.
failure on social media, are they, Sharon?
No, no, exactly. It's like the world is brilliant, and in many cases it's kind of not. And that, it can be quite addictive. I've noticed in myself as well. I don't know about you, Karen. You kind of pick up your phone and you're kind of scrolling and scrolling, and then you catch yourself and you're going, "What the hell am I doing? Why am I doing that? Why put it down? What are you doing?"
Move
Kind of thing.
away from your
What have I,
phone.
kind of, what is the point of that? So so I'm got to the stage now where I am really, I keep dabbling with kind of, shall I just come off social media altogether? Because to be perfectly honest, when I look at where my clients come from and have done over the years,
Mm.
I know I said in the early days I built my mailing list and so on, but
Mm.
actual clients now, most of them come from going directly to my website
Yeah.
because I rank really highly on Google. So they find me really easily. They come onto my mailing list, they get to know me. And then also, other people tell other people about me. So I get a lot of referrals and recommendations. So I'm kind of thinking, what would be the effect if I came off social media altogether? Would it like have a massive effect on my business? And I'm not convinced that it would. So I'm really interested in your views.
Wow, there's a lot to unpick there.
Yeah.
So firstly, yes, I too was a very early adopter with Twitter, and I'm actually still there, and I'm giving it till Christmas, till the end, well, the end of this year.
Right.
Because I would agree. However, what I would say is I still have a great community there. But I think broadly with social media, I think, yes, it is easy to get lost in it. I think the challenge is that more people, I think post-COVID, a lot of people have ended up, particularly on LinkedIn, who maybe shouldn't be there. I'm talking about people who have shops selling gifts. Unless you're selling into buyers, why are you there?
Yeah.
Or, a beauty salon, why are they there?
Yeah.
Why are they there? So I think there's a whole issue around people jumping on a bandwagon because it's the place to be. I think there's a number of challenges, which is I think people think social media is like this golden bullet that's going to solve every problem you've got. And the marketing experts will tell us that somebody could have between 8 and 14 touch points with us before they work with us. And that isn't just posting on LinkedIn. It's multiple touch points. I had this conversation exactly yesterday, and somebody said to me, I'm not sure that I want to put myself out there. I'm not very comfortable being there on LinkedIn. And I said, well, answer me this question. How else are you attracting new clients? Now, your business is very established, so you've got a loyal community of people that are going to refer, maybe come back to you for a top-up of your services and your support, which is brilliant. But what about this great big funnel that you're going to fill? And I actually had a conversation, my 8 o'clock call this morning with this guy who is he works with organizations, he goes in and coaches them. And he said exactly what you said. It's so spooky. He said, well, I get so many referrals, Karen, they come through my website because I pay for SEO and all this. I said, well, that's great. So you're doing SEO, you're paying for SEO, you get people. You're keeping in touch with people through your newsletter. Yes. You're going to networking events, maybe. Yes, I am. So you're doing other marketing stuff.
Yeah.
I think what happens is with social media, because in theory, once you learn how to use it, it's free. So I think there's an attraction there. And maybe somebody said to me yesterday, cost of living, social media makes it really easy and cheap to market my business. The problem is if they're not doing it right, you used the phrase earlier, busy fools.
Yeah.
And so you've got a number of challenges there, is that there isn't a one size fits all. What resonates with you might not resonate with me, might not resonate with one of our other colleagues. And that's why we have multiple different ways to engage with our future customers. And I think somebody said to me, I mean, I call it Insta spam and face ache. That's what I call them. And people say, well, you're on there. I said, yeah, but I'm on there because I teach people how to use it. So I need to have a presence. Doesn't mean to say that I like it. So I think there's a couple of things that you've touched on there that I think are really important. I think from a mental health aspect, my former business coach made me do this about 6 years ago. So when I'm working, by and large, my phone's in another room. I also have my notifications switched off permanently. When I go on holiday, I remove the apps from my phone. And I think there's steps you can put in place.
Yeah.
However, there is a risk, because I think, and it's just a personal opinion, no big influencer in the States has told me this, it's just a personal opinion. I think people have started using social media a bit like the Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
So they'll go onto Facebook, find me a decorator in Anglesey. I don't know where Anglesey came from, but And it could be that they're going onto LinkedIn and say, I want a sales trainer in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
So your social media profile becomes your billboard that's open 365 days a year. So I think you don't have to be there all the time. I think you need to have it's your professional pedigree. And I actually spoke to a client about this last week because they want me to go and train their staff. So their staff are acting as ambassadors for their business. And I said, but you can't make them do that. This is their personal profile. But what you can do is it's your professional kudos. It's you looking the best version of you. And I think that's a really good reason, because if you came away from it, I know you've got hundreds of recommendations, Sharon. You're not going to give those up lightly.
That is true. I'd forgotten about
You're
that.
not gonna, I looked at them the other day. You're not
250 something on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I got really excited when I got to 100. So I'm nowhere near you yet, but I'm going for it. And that's the thing is, this is somebody said to me the other day, I'm not having a website because my LinkedIn profile is me. People get to engage with me rather than a website which may not feel as personal. So I think there's measures you can put into place to make sure that your social media can work for you without having to spend time on it. I don't spend that much time on it. At night, I'll go through Instagram and you totally get it. Comparisonitis. Look at my comfortably off brother-in-law and see what exotic place he's been jetting off to and feel really envious. But, I think fair play to him. He's so jammy. It's happened. But actually, I think there's that thing around, and I think especially, again, I think it's a post-COVID thing. I think the support that you can get from the communities that are in there, if you're hanging out, like the Trainer Talk Facebook group, that's a perfect example. I often say that. That is a safe space to talk about the challenges that you're having.
Yeah, completely.
And that's a brilliant example of social media. And people forget the word is social.
Yeah.
It's social. I think that's a brilliant example. So I think private communities where really interesting. I'm just about to write a quotation for a networking group. And they said, do we set up a Facebook page? Because people aren't really doing LinkedIn groups unless they're big ones. Do we set up a Facebook group or do we set up a Facebook page? So we set up a Facebook group that is a safe space for people, women in business, because it's a ladies networking group, to air their challenges. So I think it's about choosing the right place for the right reasons. I think because of our phones, we've become very reactive rather than proactive.
Yeah. So I think kind of what you're saying there, what I'm picking up on, there are a number of mistakes that people are making, and we're talking about trainers, the freelance trainer community, because that's what we know, and that's who I work with. That you kind of typically see, and kind of one is thinking marketing equates to social media. It doesn't. There are all sorts of other things that you can do to build your business, and if you really don't want to be on social media, you don't have to be. Nobody says that. It's perfectly doable to build and grow and maintain a business without any of it. Let's face it, we all did it before it came along. So
yeah, it's funny that, isn't it?
It's kind of like, so there's that. You mentioned people feeling that they have to be on LinkedIn. We'll talk about LinkedIn primarily because the trainer communities, that's to be their platform of choice. People feeling they have to do a lot and they have to show up a lot. And what you're saying is that they don't, and that could be a mistake that people are making. What are some of the other mistakes that you see typically?
Oh gosh, my pet peeve is people thinking that they're going to post every day and then they come to me 3 months down the line and say, I'm not getting results.
Right.
Or they're paying a VA to do it who isn't really a social media manager. Now, my lovely VA, who I met through Trainer Talk, who's awesome, she asked me to have a call with her because she was thinking about offering social media management. In her head, that was beautifully designed posts in Canva, of course, content going out every day of the week. And I went, is that really what you think social media management is? And she said, well, nobody's told me otherwise. So we had about 45-minute chat, and I showed her some of the things that you need to do. So I think, firstly, if you want to have a credible presence on social media and you are going to outsource it, be really clear about what you want to get out of it, because just posting every day isn't enough. You need to, it's back to that word, social.
Yeah.
You need to engage. In fact, I've been developing for my social media for trainers group, sly little promo there, a really simple strategy, which was get a spreadsheet set up and make a list of the people you want to engage with. And give yourself a little tick every time you've done it, and take time to engage in their posts. It's a bit like if you're putting social media posts out and you're not engaging with anybody there, it's a bit like going to a conference and stand with your face to the wall. You've turned up, you've bought your ticket, you've got your name badge on, but you're not actually speaking to anybody. And I think that's a big mistake. People think just to post all the time, every day. Some people post a couple of times a day. You don't need to do that. What I'm advocating, and I encourage people to think about, is post a couple of times a week, but then use that magic time in the first hour or so to respond to any engagement, or to engage with maybe your perfect client's posts. Hang out there and be live and be present. I think, you know, it's so easy to automate things, and it's great to have that, but it isn't abdicating responsibility for the growth of your business.
Yeah, so that is so important. And I think, but this is how social media has changed, I think. You know, in the early days, it was kind of so good at doing that. It allowed us to do that. You know, we didn't have all these algorithms, and, you know, everything got seen. And I think that it was, and that's why I loved it, because I'm not, as you know, I'm a very social person. You know, I like to talk, I like to be with people. So social media kind of enabled me to express that part of my personality. And now I kind of feel it's just we've moved away from that, I think, so much, with all the different you know, as I say, the algorithms and people, you know, broadcasting or playing a different kind of game, and it all gets a bit, you know, like, I think we've lost sight of that. And so maybe you're right, Karen, if we take a step back and kind of just concentrate more on that aspect again, we might kind of find the love again for it.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely it, because you know, I get switched off when I see people that you use the word there, and I use it a lot, who are just broadcasting. Look at me, aren't I fabulous? Come and look at me. I've been doing this, and this. Aren't I fabulous? Okay, well, are you educating me? Are you being interesting? Are you being relevant? Are you actually making me feel as though you care about me?
Yeah.
And you want to support and help. You know, I have this ethos that if we build relationships first, and you're absolutely right, is, you know, there is a lot of noise on social media, but if you are mindful about how you do it, and have a plan in place of where, you know, you're starting here, and this is where you want to get to over here, maybe is within 6 months have 6 new clients, a new client a month, maybe from you. But how else are you going to attract those people? Because for example, I see a lot of websites that there's no buttons to signpost people back to your social media. Are you doing a newsletter? Are you doing any direct mail? You need to be having a multi-stranded approach to get those people through your door, whether it's a affiliate program, where you're inviting your fans, who are your best ambassadors, to promote your business. And guess what? If they're saying, oh, you need to speak to Sharon Gaskin because she's amazing, they're going to go straight onto LinkedIn and look for you and say, what sort of person are they? Is she genuine? Is she down to earth? Is she real? Is she a trusted person that I could work with? People get, you know, I think one of the most flattering things I ever got was a guy messaged me and said, and he was a lurker. And I think there's a lot of lurkers now.
Yeah, there are. That's another issue, isn't it?
Yeah. But he was lovely, and he said, I've been watching your lives and I really like the way you come across. Can we have a chat? And that's the thing, is we never know when that next person's going to pop up into our news feed. And so I think it's been really clear about what you want to accomplish. You don't have to be that noisy person. You don't have to be shouting from the rooftops, posting all the time. I think there's a really more measured approach to it now. If you can do that, and I have this thing, and I know it sounds a bit woo-woo, but if you trust, if you do everything, and you've said this before, heard you say this many times, trust in the process. You know, you start with your plan. Where do you want to be 6 months, 12 months down the line? Okay, so what do we need to do to get there? You know, it's like me coming to see you. If I was coming down to beautiful South Wales, I know roughly where you are, and I could probably head in that direction, but I'm not going to head down to Mumbles and shout, Sharon, are you here?
Yeah.
I have a really clear plan in how I'm going to get there. And that's something I think that's got lost more and more with mobile technology.
I think it's like I think what you're saying is, I think what we're both saying, it's almost like we've got to kind of like get back to basics and kind of like get really clear on what we're using it for. You know, what are we using it for? And if it's not fit for purpose, we need to go and do something else. But if it is, we just need to kind of focus on the bits that are bringing results, focusing on the bits that we enjoy. You know,
it's a toolkit. It's part of your. It's part of your. You used the phrase before, and I'll often say this. I'll say it's a business development tool. But we all have different tools. You know, it's like I did a campaign in the summer, and I did the research on LinkedIn. Then we did a direct mail with some branded cookies and a flyer. Then we did a follow-up postcard. And only then did I send those people connection requests with a personalized note. And then we did a follow-up call. So it was multiple strands using lots of different marketing. And I think that's where, for me, where social media sits, is supporting you in your business growth.
And I guess, again, you know, thinking about how social media has kind of moved on, you know, when it first started, I'm not sure which started first. Was it LinkedIn or Facebook? But anyway, it was way back. And they were a bit like the TV channels, you know, they were only kind of 2 to begin with. And like now we've got at least, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, maybe different channels that you can use. You know, you've got your LinkedIn, your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for business, TikTok, Threads, you know, WhatsApp, Telegram, you know. This,
and then there's WhatsApp for business. I'm seeing loads of stuff around WhatsApp for business at the minute. And somebody said to me that you're going to teach us how to do that? I went, no.
So, you know, I guess one of the questions you must get asked a lot is, you know, do I need to be on all of them, or which ones do I go on if I have to choose? So.
Oh, I think if I had to choose, would I do any of them? I think what I would always advise my clients is you need to hang out on the one where the majority of your perfect clients hang out. And as we know, the more you niche and the more you're clear and direct about who you want to work with and why they'd want to work with you, it's easy to find them. You know, if you've got bandwidth, so, you know, for example, if you were maybe more smaller business and more business to consumer, you'd probably do Instagram and Facebook. But a classic example is TikTok is a perfect example of this, and Reels on Instagram, and Reels have come to Facebook now. And it's like I say to my clients, let's do a LinkedIn Live, and they'll have a nosebleed. And they can't do it. And that's the thing, is you've got to be really clear. If you start with the point of who do I want to work with, where are they hanging out, and really just hang out on one platform. If you want, you know, I on a night time, I'll scroll through Faceache to see what my friends have been up to. And I'm really careful about who I accept as friends, and I've been having a big clean out of that. But for business, not really. My focus for my business is because I'm business to business. All my perfect clients are hanging out on LinkedIn, or if they're not, they're learning how to do it and they're going to be there soon.
Yeah.
So I think stick to one. If you've got bandwidth to do a second, but if you're business to business, you know, Twitter's gone through so many changes, or it's officially called X. Can't bear that. I've actually still got one of my first ever branded products. I need to dig it out for a live, and it's got the Twitter bird on. And it makes me quite sad, actually.
Yeah.
And you know, you've got Threads, and they're having major problems with that. People jumped onto Threads because it was new.
Clubhouse, that was another one.
Clubhouse, yeah.
To that, you know.
So there's all these different channels, but it's like doing lots of different marketing. Is it the right marketing for your business?
Yeah. And you know, talking about marketing and the social media changing, it's not just social media that's changing, it's, you know, the whole marketing landscape is now changing with the advent of AI. You know, we were talking before about how we kind of feel a little bit ambivalent about that, because you do see posts on LinkedIn and you look at them and you go, I know you haven't written that, because to me it just looks as though somebody has literally just lifted it from a textbook and just copied and pasted it, and it bears no relation to the person and how they would talk. And you think, well, that's actually doing you more damage than it's probably got it off your plate in terms of, oh, I've made a post today, but it's actually, in terms of building relationships, it's probably done more damage than, you know, than intended. So what's your view about that?
I totally agree. You know, I will use AI if I'm having a rare moment.
By the way, dinosaur here, I've not used it at all.
Well, if I'm having a rare moment of blockage. So I was saying to you earlier that, you know, I was trying to come up with, because a lot of my clients struggle with this, 10 really good reasons why you should go live on your LinkedIn channel, on your LinkedIn profile. And I asked ChatGPT to give me that. And do you know what it was? It was quite good, but I changed. What I do then is I copy it and paste it into a Word document, and then I put my words in.
Okay. Yeah.
So I use it. I think it's brilliant for ideas and inspiration. I think it's not perfect by any shadow of a doubt. I mean, I put in the other day why coaches should use social media. And of course, it didn't recognize coaches because it's all about the prompting. It took it as football coaches.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I then had to redo it. Why business coaches? And the more you can funnel it down, and it's just like anything with your marketing, the more targeted, in a more targeted way you use it, I think it's great for ideas and inspiration. But I think if you're going the path to copy and paste, it's gonna, you use the word, you know, you will lose your credibility and your authenticity and the essence of you. You know, when we communicate, only 7% is the written word, allegedly. So those words are really important. Yeah. You've got to give them the care and attention to get it right. And you know, somebody says to me, oh, I haven't got time. I said, but if you did one really good post a week that served you, that people felt as though they got a sense of who you are, what you like to work with, what sort of person you are, what your service, really understood you a bit. And, you know, I use the phrase, the get you.
Yeah.
Better to do that than put a load of noise out there that doesn't actually do you justice.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And my final question is around, you know, the people that really don't like social media, but kind of recognize that, you know, as a trainer, as a freelance trainer and business owner, it's probably something that you should do in some shape or form. What's the minimum that you can get away with, would you say?
Have a rock star profile. I've just come off the top of my head, total rock star profile.
On LinkedIn, yeah?
Yeah, on LinkedIn, make it, you know, if your profile is complete, as in you've filled as much of it as you can. If it's laden with keywords, as in what are the words people would use, whatever sort of trainer you are, what improver of people, whatever way in which you help your perfect clients go from average to fantastic, what are they going to be looking for? If they're using LinkedIn as a search tool, I'm looking for a sales trainer for hospitality sales trainer, for argument's sake. Make sure that phrase is in your profile. Make sure you're using all of the tools, because if you have a well-optimized profile, I said to you before we came on today, I was on holiday and I was getting inquiries through in private message through my LinkedIn profile because I've optimized the heck out of it. And if you do that, and somebody said this exact thing to me yesterday, I said, do that, write a couple of posts so it looks like you've been living in the house of social media. So it looks like you are there occasionally.
Yeah.
And then just check it. I mean, that's the only other thing I would say is, and I said this to a lady because she was really frightened of it. And I said, diarize once a week to check to see if you've had any email notifications from LinkedIn, because there's nothing worse than, say, somebody contacts you and says, I'm really interested in working with you, and they get radio silence. So optimize your profile, but make sure you at least once a week check your notifications.
Yeah. I must admit, my LinkedIn messages are ones that I kind of, they get buried, don't they? You kind of, because you've got so many other ways that people can contact you, and if you're not on it, and I don't have my notifications set for LinkedIn at all now, so yeah, I have to go on there to kind of and say quite often, you think, oh, somebody sent me a message, so yeah, I think that
it's important. I mean, what I've done is I've got my Karen at email address, and then I've got a hello at email address, which I don't get a lot of emails to. So that's the default email address for any LinkedIn notifications. So I know that that inbox is never going to be overloaded and I'm going to miss something, because there'll be nothing worse as a freelancer missing an inquiry from somebody, is there?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Karen, I could talk to you all day about this. It's been absolutely fascinating. Now, as well as being one of my highly valued Trainer Talk members, I mean, you've been a Trainer Talk member for a good few years now. You're a Trainer Talk local leader, and you also now run the Trainer Talk live events, 4 times a year, which is amazing. So you do a lot for the Trainer Talk community, which is fantastic. So where else can people find you apart from within the Trainer Talk community?
Well, I mean, I just love Trainer Talk. I was talking to a lady the other day and I said, you've got to come over and join us on the happy side. I call it the happy side. And I love being part of Trainer Talk. And I was working out the other day, it's almost exactly 4 years I've been a member of Trainer Talk.
Wow.
So yes, so for people to find me, the easiest way is to find me on LinkedIn. I've got a really unusual last name, Curitin, which is quite strange, but I hang out on LinkedIn. I go live every Monday on LinkedIn, usually sharing lots of free tips and advice. Yesterday's was learnings from my 85-year-old dad.
Oh, lovely.
I love the fact he's 85 and he said something to me the other day, and actually it was about this thing around digital technology, that people make a lot of assumptions that people are comfortable with it. And it comes back to what you said at the start of our chat. Not everybody, you can't make an assumption because a guy's 85 that he doesn't know how to use QR codes and emails. But conversely, my mum wouldn't have a clue. And and I use that as a theme I actually worked with a young woman at the start of this year, and she's a personal trainer, and she wanted to learn to use LinkedIn, even though I said to her, I'm not sure it's the right place, but she wanted to learn. And she's 34 and she is a technophobe.
Right.
So I think
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. But yes, so I love LinkedIn. It is my favorite. So come and find me there.
Brilliant. Well, wonderful as ever to spend
Thank
time
you.
with you. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.
Thanks.
Oh.